As the Celestial Hope settled onto the bustling surface of Siloria, Dr. Velix felt a surge of anticipation. The ship's crew, a mix of vibrant alien species, each with their unique quirks, milled about, preparing for the historic encounter. Teria, a slender creature with iridescent skin and nimble fingers, adjusted the medical equipment, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Imagine what we'll learn from the humans," she mused, her voice tinged with eagerness. "They've faced dangers we can only theorize about." Velix nodded, his mind already racing through potential questions. He'd read about human resilience, but theories and reality often diverged in surprising ways. Just then, the ship's communications officer, a small furry creature named Nib, buzzed in. "Dr. Velix, we have an emergency transmission coming in." The ship's main screen flickered to life, revealing a chaotic scene. Miners at the nearby facility were shouting, their voices drowned out by the sounds of collapsing earth and machinery. Velix's heart sank as he realized what was unfolding, a catastrophic mining accident. "Get the emergency gear," he barked, his voice rising above the din of the crew's frantic movements. "We need to move now." As the team boarded the shuttle, Hala, their Silurian liaison, guided them through the rocky terrain, her expertise evident as she navigated the winding paths. "The miners are experienced, but this situation is severe," she said, her eyes sharp with determination. "We need to be prepared for anything." Moments later, they arrived at the mining site, where chaos reigned. Dust hung thick in the air, and the sounds of distress filled their ears. Alien miners were scrambling, some attempting to lift fallen debris while others searched for trapped colleagues. The sight was both harrowing and urgent. Velix and his team leaped into action, quickly assessing the situation. As they approached the main area, a collective gasp emerged from the crowd. There, beneath a massive slab of rock, was Jack, the human laborer. Blood trickled from various wounds, and his body was pinned, yet his spirit remained unbroken. "Hey, everyone," Jack called out, his voice laced with humor despite his dire condition. "Looks like I'm having a rocky day. Anyone care to join?" The alien doctors exchanged incredulous looks. Velix felt a mixture of admiration and disbelief. "Is he joking?" Teria whispered, her brows furrowing. "He appears to be," Velix replied, moving closer to assess the situation. "Let's free him quickly before he decides to perform stand-up comedy." As they worked together to lift the debris, Velix marveled at Jack's resilience. "Hold on, we're almost there," he said, focusing on the task at hand. The teamwork among the miners and doctors was frantic yet coordinated, each moment crucial in the race against time. Finally, with a heave, the rock was lifted enough for Jack to crawl free. He gasped, pain flashing across his face, but his grin never faded. "You guys are my heroes. Just a little rough around the edges, right?" As they laid him on a makeshift stretcher, Velix's medical instincts kicked in. "We need to stabilize him immediately," he ordered. Jack's body was a testament to human endurance, but Velix could see the toll the injuries had taken. "Hey, Doc," Jack called, his tone playful despite his condition. "You sure you know what you're doing? I'd hate to lose my best feature, this charming smile." Velix couldn't help but chuckle, feeling the tension ease slightly. "Just hold on, human. We're about to find out how resilient you really are." As they hurried back to the shuttle, Jack's lighthearted banter contrasted sharply with the urgency of their task. With each step, Velix couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change everything they thought they knew about humanity and survival. Inside the shuttle, the atmosphere shifted from chaos to focused urgency. As the crew secured Jack onto a medical cot, Velix leaned over him, scanning the injuries displayed on the holoscreen that illuminated the cramped space. The readings were alarming. Multiple fractures, deep lacerations, and a significant loss of blood. But even amidst the dire statistics, Jack's spirit shone brightly. "Hey Doc, you're looking a bit glum there," Jack quipped, attempting to lift his spirits. You'd think I was going for a nap instead of surgery. Let's make this interesting. Interesting is an understatement, Velix replied, his tone balancing concern with a hint of amusement. He adjusted the medical equipment, preparing for the challenge ahead. We need to stabilize you first. You're more resilient than many, but this will require precision. Jack nodded, a grin still plastered across his face, but he winced as he shifted. Just don't tell my boss about this. I'd hate for him to think I'm slacking off on the job. As the shuttle sped toward the Celestial Hope Teria began to set up the medical bay. Her fingers moved deftly, placing instruments and preparing fluids, her eyes focused yet glimmering with curiosity. She had read about human endurance, but never witnessed it firsthand. How do you feel, Jack? She asked, her voice softening as she checked his pulse. Like I just wrestled a rock monster, he replied, chuckling softly, though it turned into a cough. But I'll survive. Just get me some good earth coffee when this is over, and I'll be good as new. The medical bay was a flurry of activity when they arrived, lights flashing and machinery humming in anticipation. Velix quickly took charge, directing the team to begin immediate assessments. They needed to determine if Jack's body could withstand their advanced treatments, which were tailored for various alien anatomies, but not specifically for humans. As they worked, Jack lay back on the examination table, the glow of the equipment casting shadows across his face. So, what's the verdict? He asked, trying to keep the mood light. Am I going to walk out of here or get an upgrade? Let's focus on getting you stabilized first, Velix replied, running a series of scans. Your biology is fascinating. We've never encountered a being that can remain so coherent in such trauma. Trauma. Puffed. You should see me after a bad day at work. This is a walk in the park. Jack laughed, but it was strained, a reminder of the pain he was enduring. Velix glanced at the readings again, frowning. Jack's heart rate was spiking, likely from both the adrenaline and pain. I'm going to need you to relax. We'll give you something to ease the pain. You need to conserve your strength. Painkillers. Count me in, Jack replied, enthusiasm bubbling in his voice. Just make sure they're not your version of kale juice. I'm allergic to anything green and leafy. As the medical team prepared the sedatives, Velix couldn't help but be drawn into Jack's world, the banter offering a distraction from the gravity of the situation. We might have some alternatives you'll find more palatable, Teria chimed in, her voice a soothing counterpoint. Once the sedative was administered, Jack's body relaxed, his breathing slowing. The doctors moved into action, using their advanced technology to stabilize the fractures and close the wounds. Velix marveled at how quickly the tools responded to Jack's physiology, adapting to treat him in ways they hadn't anticipated. Impressive technology you've got here, Jack murmured, his eyes growing heavy. Almost makes me want to trade my job for one of yours. Just focus on healing, Velix urged, realizing they were not just treating a patient. They were embarking on a remarkable exploration of human resilience. As the procedure continued, he could see that this was not just a medical mission. It was the beginning of an extraordinary connection between their worlds, and he was determined to learn everything he could. As the medical procedures progressed, the atmosphere in the bay transformed from tense urgency to a focused determination. Velix monitored Jack's vital signs, marveling at the way his body responded to the advanced treatments. Every fluctuation on the screens told a story, one of survival, grit, and unexpected humor. After several tense minutes, the team finally stabilized Jack's condition. Teria stepped back, wiping her brow. He's holding steady, but we need to keep a close watch, she said, glancing at Velix. His recovery rate is unprecedented for our protocols. Velix nodded, deep in thought. It's extraordinary, but we need to consider how human biology differs from ours. I've studied humans, but this, witnessing it firsthand, it's enlightening. He turned to Jack, who was now groggy but still conscious. How are you feeling, Jack? Like I just woke up after a 3-day binge on caffeine, Jack replied with a lopsided grin. A little woozy, but I'll take it. At least you're not trying to sell me insurance or anything. Teria laughed softly, but Velix remained serious. We need to monitor your pain levels closely. I want to avoid any shock or adverse reactions during recovery. Don't worry about me, Doc. I've faced worse than a few alien needles, Jack retorted, his spirit undimmed, even as he struggled to keep his eyes open. Just don't take too long. I'd hate to miss out on a good story. As the team debated the best course of action, Velix noticed Jack's eyes flicker with mischief. So, what's the plan? Am I the first human you've treated? Teria shook her head. Actually, you are. We've studied your kind from afar, but direct interaction is new territory for us. How do you cope with such pain? Jack chuckled, the sound a little strained. Well, we humans have a saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But I think I'm pushing that limit right now. He paused, shifting slightly, and the humor faded as a wince crossed his face. I've had my share of scrapes. Growing up on Earth is like a survival game. Intrigued, Teria leaned closer. What kind of challenges? Tell us. Well, let's see. I've survived bear encounters, freezing winters, and even a couple of kitchen fires, Jack recounted, his voice growing stronger. The bear was a real charmer, though. It was either run or offer it a sandwich. The alien doctors exchanged bewildered glances, their interest piqued. Velix smiled, sensing that this exchange might be more beneficial than they initially thought. Your stories could provide invaluable insights into human resilience and adaptability. Absolutely. It's like a crash course in survival, Jack said, his enthusiasm contagious. You want a masterclass in grit? I'm your guy. Teria raised her communicator. Shall I prepare a holo recording? This could be an excellent reference for our future studies. Only if I get royalties. Jack shot back, the jest lightening the room's atmosphere. The doctors chuckled, their apprehensions fading as they grew increasingly fascinated by their patient. Okay, let's focus, Velix interjected, redirecting the conversation. Jack, we need to understand how your body handles pain and recovery. Your insights could enhance our medical approaches for future cases. Right. Well, the key is distraction, Jack explained, his tone earnest. When things get rough, I think about what I love. My family, my favorite foods, or a good game. Keeps my mind off the hurt. Interesting, Teria noted. Perhaps we should incorporate more psychological techniques into our medical treatments. Jack's eyes lit up. You know, I could even tell you about Earth's favorite pastimes. Ever heard of baseball? Or maybe you prefer a thrilling horror story. Velix smiled, realizing they were forging an unexpected bond. In sharing stories, they were not only learning about humanity, they were uniting two cultures through resilience and curiosity. As Jack spoke, Velix made a mental note. This was just the beginning of a groundbreaking collaboration, and he was determined to explore every facet of human spirit and strength. The atmosphere in the medical bay was charged with anticipation as the doctors prepared for the next phase of Jack's treatment. Velix stood at the head of the examination table, reviewing the complex holographic displays that tracked Jack's vital signs. The data confirmed that he was stable, but the extent of his injuries required immediate attention. Okay, Jack, we're about to begin the surgical procedures to repair the fractures and close your wounds, Velix explained, his tone reassuring yet serious. You'll feel some pressure and possibly discomfort, but we'll do our best to minimize any pain. Jack's eyes widened with a mixture of determination and mischief. Doc, you've got this. Just keep the needles away from my face, and we'll be fine. If you lose my charming smile, I'm blaming you. The alien doctors chuckled, and the tension in the room eased slightly. Teria activated the surgical instruments, their sleek designs glinting under the lights. Each tool floated, suspended by the ship's advanced magnetic fields, ready to be directed by the doctor's mental commands. Initiating surgical protocol, Teria said, her voice steady, as she calibrated the instruments. Velix nodded, confident in their preparation. "Let's begin." As the procedure started, the medical team surrounded Jack, focused and alert. Velix directed the tools toward Jack's broken leg, carefully maneuvering them to reset the bones. The advanced technology scanned his injuries, offering real-time data that highlighted areas of concern. "Just a little pressure now, Jack," Velix instructed. "You're doing great." "I'll just be over here dreaming of Earth's finest pizza," Jack replied, attempting to keep the mood light. "You guys don't happen to have a recipe for that, do you?" As the surgical tools worked with precision, Jack could feel the pressure intensifying. The initial discomfort quickly gave way to a dull ache, but he focused on the conversation around him. "So, what's the craziest thing you've seen on Siloria?" he asked, drawing the attention of the alien doctors. Teria smirked. "There was a creature called the Lumiswift, known for its speed. It once raced past me while I was gathering samples, and I swear it left a shockwave behind." Jack laughed softly, a sound that blended with the whirring of machinery. "Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. I love a good thrill, but I can't say I've ever met a creature that can outrun me. Though after this surgery, I might need to rethink that." As the procedure continued, the tension in the room fluctuated. Velix monitored Jack's heart rate, which began to spike slightly. "Stay with us, Jack," he urged. "Breathe deeply. Remember the pizza." Right, Jack said, focusing on his breathing. "Cheese, pepperoni, extra sauce. My mouth is watering just thinking about it." Teria couldn't help but smile at his spirit. "You have a unique way of handling pain. I'm impressed." Jack chuckled, but then his heart rate spiked again, and his eyes widened. "Oh, Doc, I think I'm feeling a little lightheaded here." "Just breathe, Jack," Velix instructed, his voice steady. "We're almost done." As they wrapped up the surgery, Jack's body began to react unexpectedly. Velix noticed a rapid healing process, far exceeding their expectations. "Remarkable," he muttered, captivated by the readings. "He's responding to the treatment at an accelerated rate." "Is that normal?" Teria asked, her eyes darting to the holographic displays. "Not for any species we've encountered," Velix replied, fascinated. "It appears humans have an extraordinary capacity for recovery. We must document this." Jack, still groggy but now more alert, managed to grin. "See, told you I'm tough. Just wait till I'm back to full strength. I'll give you all a run for your money." As the last of the instruments retracted, Velix stepped back, marveling at the miracle of human resilience laid out before him. "You've survived a lot, Jack. I look forward to learning more about your incredible biology and spirit." Jack's eyes sparkled with determination. "And I'm ready to share. Just promise me one thing. When I'm back on my feet, we'll throw a party to celebrate this wild adventure." Velix smiled, already envisioning the potential for a collaboration that could reshape their understanding of life beyond Siloria. In that moment, amidst the beeping machines and lingering adrenaline, a bond was forming. A bridge between worlds built on resilience, humor, and an insatiable curiosity for what lay ahead. As Jack began to recover from the surgery, the medical bay transformed into a hub of curiosity and excitement. The alien doctors, especially Teria and Velix, found themselves captivated not just by Jack's resilience, but by the unique perspectives he offered on humanity. They gathered around his cot, eager to learn more. "Okay, Jack," Teria began, her eyes bright with anticipation. "You've been through a lot, and we're fascinated by your stories. How do you view survival on Earth?" Jack shifted in his cot, propped up on pillows. "Survival is all about adaptability," he replied, a spark of enthusiasm igniting in his voice. "Every day is a new challenge, whether it's nature throwing curveballs or just the chaos of daily life." Velix leaned in closer, intrigued. "Can you give us examples? What have you faced?" Jack grinned, pulling from a well of experiences, Well, there was this one time I got lost in the woods during a camping trip. I had no map, just me, a backpack, and the overwhelming realization that I should have paid better attention in scout training. The alien doctors exchanged amused glances. "What did you do?" Teria asked, her curiosity piqued. "I set up a camp and used what I had. Food rations, a makeshift fire. It was a lesson in resourcefulness. I ended up relying on my instincts, listening to the sounds of the forest, figuring out which direction to take." Jack's expression turned serious. It was both terrifying and empowering. Empowering. Velix echoed, fascinated. "What does that mean?" Realizing I could survive on my own made me stronger. It's like a light bulb went off. I learned that fear is just a part of the journey, not the end of it. Jack paused, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. "You guys have faced your own challenges, right? I mean, it can't all be peaceful on Siloria." Teria nodded. "We have our dangers. The Lumaswifts are just one example, but we also face environmental challenges. Our planet has undergone changes due to mining, just as yours has." "Sounds familiar," Jack said, his brow furrowing. "Humans have done a lot of damage to our planet too. But in facing those challenges, we've also learned to innovate and adapt. We're resilient that way." Eager to delve deeper, Velix posed a question that had been on his mind. "What do you consider the ultimate test of resilience among your kind?" Jack leaned back, contemplating. "Honestly, it's probably facing loss and coming back from it. I've lost friends, family members, and seen communities crumble, but you learn to rebuild. It's like a cycle of pain and growth." His voice softened, but each experience makes you appreciate life more. Touched by his insight, Teria added, "Your perspective is refreshing. It mirrors some of our own experiences in facing the cycles of life on Siloria." "Exactly. It's all about connection. Between people, between our species," Jack replied, his voice gaining strength. "We might come from different worlds, but at the core, we're all trying to survive and thrive." Velix's mind raced, realizing they were not just exchanging stories. They were forging a deeper understanding. "Jack, would you be willing to share more of these experiences? Perhaps we could document them for our records. It might help us improve our medical approaches and cultural understandings." "Count me in. I'm an open book, though I hope it's an interesting one." Jack chuckled, his energy returning as the conversation ignited his spirit. As they continued their dialogue, the medical bay transformed into a vibrant exchange of ideas. Jack shared tales of human tenacity, humor, and heart, while the alien doctors reciprocated with stories of Xylorian challenges and triumphs. They played games that showcased their survival instincts and learned from one another, bridging gaps that had once felt insurmountable. In that moment, amid the machines humming softly and the faint glow of the medical equipment, an alliance was forming, not just between a human and alien doctors, but between two worlds bound by resilience and an unyielding curiosity to understand each other. The foundation was set for a friendship that would transcend species, united by shared stories and mutual respect. Just as Jack began to feel more comfortable and engaged in sharing his stories, an unexpected jolt rocked the Celestial Hope *. The ship's lights flickered ominously, and alarms blared throughout the medical bay, causing tension to spike instantly. Velix's heart raced as he turned toward Teria, who was already tapping furiously at her console. "What's happening?" he demanded, his voice steady despite the rising panic around them. "We're experiencing a systems failure," Teria replied, her expression grave. "The power core is destabilizing. We need to redirect energy from non-essential systems to maintain stability." Jack, still recovering but alert, sensed the urgency in the air. "What can I do to help?" he asked, a newfound determination sparking in his eyes. "I might not be an engineer, but I'm pretty good at thinking on my feet." "Stay where you are," Velix ordered, instinctively protective. But Jack's expression was unwavering. "No way. I'm not just going to lie here while you all scramble. Let me help." He pushed himself up, the pain evident but overshadowed by his determination. With a reluctant nod, Velix stepped aside, recognizing the fire in Jack's spirit. "All right, but be careful. Teria, can you guide him?" "Of course," Teria said, her fingers deftly manipulating the holographic interface. "Jack, we need to reroute energy from the auxiliary systems. Follow my lead." As Jack moved to the console, he felt the ship tremble again, a reminder of the urgency of the situation. He inhaled deeply, focusing on Teria's instructions. "Okay, what do I do first?" "Right here," Teria pointed to a glowing panel. "Initiate a bypass. We need to stabilize the power output. Watch the readouts closely." Jack's fingers flew across the interface, following her directions. His mind raced as he recalled bits of engineering knowledge from his past. "You know," he said, trying to keep the mood light, "I didn't think I'd be doing tech support on an alien ship today. Just another Tuesday for me." Velix and Teria exchanged a glance, surprised at how Jack maintained his humor amid the crisis. Yet there was an undercurrent of tension as the ship's alarms blared louder, the lights flickering more violently. "Come on, Jack, you can do this," Velix encouraged, noting Jack's determination. "Just focus. You've faced worse challenges." Jack nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. "All right, what's next?" "Now we need to adjust the coolant levels in the core. If we don't, we could risk a meltdown," Teria instructed, her voice steady even as the stakes grew higher. Jack took a deep breath. "Got it. How do we do that?" "Access the secondary coolant control," Teria replied, guiding him through the steps. "We'll need to recalibrate the flow to maintain a stable temperature." Jack felt a rush of adrenaline as he maneuvered the controls, recalling similar processes from his engineering classes back on Earth. "Just like fixing an old car," he murmured, tapping into the familiarity of mechanics. "Okay, I'm on it." As he worked, the lights dimmed further, and a sudden crash echoed from somewhere deep within the ship. Velix's heart raced. "We're running out of time." "Almost there," Jack said, sweat forming on his brow. He could feel the ship's instability as if it were a living creature. With one final adjustment, the readouts began to stabilize, the alarms shifting from a frenzied blare to a more controlled warning. "Yes, it's working," Teria exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement. "You did it, Jack." Just then, the ship trembled again, but the lights flickered back to life, and the alarms quieted significantly. Velix felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Excellent work, Jack. You've saved us." Jack leaned back against the console, breathing heavily but grinning broadly. "Just another day in the life of a deathworlder, I guessed." The atmosphere shifted from tension to relief as the medical team exchanged relieved smiles. In that chaotic moment, Jack had proven not only his resilience, but also his invaluable resourcefulness, cementing a newfound respect among his alien companions. As they caught their breath, it became clear the bond between them had deepened, and they were no longer just allies in a medical mission, but a team united against adversity. In the aftermath of the crisis, the medical bay of the Celestial Hope was filled with a palpable sense of relief and camaraderie. The humming machinery resumed its steady rhythm, and the once frantic atmosphere had settled into a collaborative spirit. Jack leaned back in his cot, fatigue etched on his face, but a smile lingered. "You guys really know how to keep a patient on his toes," he said, winking at Velix and Teria. "I've had a few wild days at work, but that takes the cake." Velix couldn't help but chuckle, a hint of admiration shining in his eyes. "You handled the situation remarkably well, Jack. Your quick thinking prevented a disaster." "Thanks. I just did what I could," Jack replied, his voice earnest. "I guess I've learned to stay calm in chaos. It's part of life on Earth." Teria approached, her expression thoughtful. "We've observed that about you. Your adaptability is impressive. We'd like to study your recovery process more closely, now that you're stabilized. Sure, just promise not to poke and prod too much. I'm still getting used to the whole alien medicine thing." Jack chuckled, but he felt a swell of pride at the thought that his experiences could contribute to their understanding. Over the next few days, as Jack's body began to heal, the alien doctors turned the medical bay into a place of learning. Teria and Velix adjusted their research protocols to account for Jack's unique biology, keenly observing his remarkable recovery. They introduced various therapies, blending their advanced techniques with Jack's insights about human physiology. "Okay, Jack," Velix said one morning, a gleam of excitement in his eyes. "We're going to try a new treatment today, one designed to enhance your natural healing process. It's a combination of our regenerative serum and a few adaptations based on your feedback." "Sounds great. As long as it doesn't involve any more surprise surgeries, I'm all in," Jack replied, his spirits high. "I've got to keep up my reputation as a tough deathworlder, after all." Teria prepared the serum, her movements precise as she explained the procedure. "This should expedite your recovery even further, but we need your cooperation. How do you usually cope with discomfort?" Jack thought for a moment. "Honestly, humor and distraction work wonders. Tell me a story while you do your thing. Or we can swap survival tips. Those never get old." "Very well," Velix said, settling beside him. "I'll start. Once, during a critical research expedition, we were stranded in the Everdark Forest, an area filled with bioluminescent creatures and dangerous predators. We had to improvise a shelter using only the resources around us." As Velix recounted the tale, Jack listened intently, finding himself drawn into the narrative. He could picture the alien jungle, its glowing flora casting eerie shadows. The vivid imagery helped him ignore the slight sting of the serum being administered. "And what did you learn from that experience?" Jack asked, curious. "We learned the importance of collaboration and communication," Velix replied, a smile creeping onto his face. "Working together, we not only survived but also forged stronger bonds with each other." "Sounds like a lesson I know well," Jack said. "In my line of work, we often have to rely on teamwork. I've had to save coworkers from dangerous situations, and that's when you really learn who's got your back." As the treatment progressed, Jack felt a warmth spread through him, the serum mingling with his biological systems in a dance of healing. He realized that sharing these stories was not just a distraction, it was a bridge, a way to connect across vast differences. Days passed, and Jack's recovery accelerated. He found himself moving with more confidence, his body responding positively to the treatments. The doctors began to adjust their protocols based on his feedback, documenting every detail for future reference. One afternoon, as they shared stories about their respective worlds, Jack noticed a profound sense of respect growing among them. The alien doctors, once wary of the unknowns of human biology, were now embracing the unique challenges and strengths Jack presented. "I can't believe how far we've come in such a short time," Teria remarked one evening. "You've not only healed but transformed our understanding of resilience." Jack smiled, warmth filling his heart. "And you've changed my perspective too. I've learned that no matter the species, we all have our battles. It's how we face them that truly counts." In that moment, as laughter and stories filled the medical bay, a bond was solidifying. One built on mutual respect, curiosity, and the shared experience of survival. Jack knew he would leave the celestial hope with more than just physical healing. He would carry with him friendships and insights that transcended the stars. As the days turned into a week, Jack's recovery reached a remarkable milestone. The once battered human was now sitting up and moving around the medical bay with newfound strength and vigor. The alien doctors watched in awe, their respect for Jack growing with each passing moment. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as they prepared for his final evaluation before he could leave the ship. Velix entered the room, a tablet in hand, a broad smile illuminating his usually serious demeanor. Jack, your progress is astounding. I can hardly believe how quickly you've healed. You're ready for discharge. Finally, Jack exclaimed, jumping up, only to wince slightly at the sudden movement. Just in time. I was worried I might have to start calling you my new family. Teria laughed, stepping forward with a small package. Before you go, we have something for you, a token of our appreciation. Jack's eyebrows shot up. What is it? With a flourish, Teria opened the package to reveal a beautifully crafted amulet, shimmering with iridescent colors. It symbolizes the bond we've formed. The intertwined patterns represent our cultures, different yet connected. Jack took the amulet, the weight of it grounding him. It's beautiful. Thank you. I'll wear it with pride. He glanced between Velix and Teria, his heart swelling with gratitude. You guys have done so much for me. I'll never forget this experience. Velix stepped closer, his expression earnest. You've changed our understanding of humanity in ways we never anticipated. Your resilience and humor have inspired us all. We hope to share this knowledge with our colleagues. Jack smiled, feeling the warmth in his chest, and I'll make sure to tell everyone back on Earth about you. You're going to be legends. As he donned the amulet, a realization washed over him. This journey had forged a connection far beyond the boundaries of their worlds. They had navigated danger, shared stories, and learned from one another, a true testament to the power of unity. I know it's not exactly a short trip, but I'll definitely come back to visit, Jack said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. You've got to show me more of Siloria. Absolutely. There is much to explore, and I'm sure we can find more ways to collaborate. Teria replied enthusiastically. Perhaps we can learn even more about human survival techniques. Jack laughed, his heart light. Just wait till I show you about camping on Earth. I promise it'll be an adventure. As they exchanged farewells, the medical team gathered around, each one expressing their gratitude and admiration for Jack. The camaraderie they had built transcended any previous barriers, uniting them through shared experiences and a profound respect for one another. Finally, as Jack prepared to leave the ship, he took one last look around the medical bay. The beeping of machines and the soft glow of lights felt like home. This place will always hold a special place in my heart. With one final wave, he stepped out onto the transport platform, a new horizon before him. As the ship's doors closed, Jack felt a surge of emotions, hope, excitement, and a bittersweet longing to remain connected to the friends he had made. In the months that followed, the stories of Jack's journey spread across both Siloria and Earth. He became an ambassador of sorts, sharing tales of resilience, laughter, and the extraordinary bond that can form between disparate worlds. Back on Siloria, Velix and Teria began incorporating Jack's insights into their medical practices, revolutionizing their approaches to healing. They documented everything meticulously, eager to explore further collaborations with other species. As the stars twinkled above, Jack often found himself gazing at the night sky, the amulet glinting softly against his chest. He knew that the universe was vast, but the connections he had forged with the alien doctors reminded him that no distance could diminish the bonds of friendship and understanding. In the end, Jack realized that the ultimate lesson was not just about survival, but about thriving together, navigating the cosmos as allies, bound by shared stories, laughter, and an unbreakable spirit. And that, he mused, was the greatest adventure of all.